Welcome back to another episode of Remotely Speaking Up. This time we are joined by Daniel Francis, author and personal development coach out of, is it Fatima, Trinidad? Do I have it right?
Yes, yes, got it directly right.
I have no idea where Fatima, Trinidad is. You'll have to tell me.
Well, Fatima is my school actually, but I live in Santa Cruz.
Okay. I thought I knew Trinidad well, but I guess we'll find out. But welcome, Daniel. It's great to have you. And this week, Danielle is going to be talking to us about rethinking, really. We're going to be talking about thinking. And one of the things we really want to look at is asking the questions that nobody wants to ask. So Danielle, I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us who is Daniel Francis, but also tell us what is your mission.
Daniel Francis, who's that? It's always weird to get a question like this, but basically I am local Trinidad and Tobago. I wanted to be a doctor, but somehow that shifted the way the world works into becoming a personal development coach after being lost myself and sharing my journey and helping other persons. Became a coach. And in that journey of becoming a coach, somehow, I mean, it kind of made sense to become an author. I was lucky enough to get that idea. And being the kind of goal setting type of person that I am, I continue to trend and have just launched my second book. And you know, I really focus on millennials, so everything I do, it might seem really random because I do a lot of stuff, but it's always millennial centric.
Yeah, and I know in your book you define different categories. You break down the millennials into different categories. Which category would you fit in? Dare I ask, I suppose your age? But I'm going to take my chances.
Well, I hear I look like I am a teenager or I'm like 25 or whatever. But I'm in the middle millennial category. So we tend to be those who are kind of getting used to working, trying to build our life, take it to the next stage, maybe get that mortgage, all these different things. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. And tell us a bit about your experience with publishing the Millennial Mind. What was your thinking behind it? Why is it that you felt you needed to publish a book called The Millennial Mind?
Well, the thing is, I came to a point where I felt like I was very comfortable with my consultations with clients. I would help them get to point A to point B. And I was beginning to see a trend. You know, they're always coming to me with the same things, and you're starting to realize that, okay, it's always the same stuff. Maybe it's different behaviors, but it's at its core, it's always the same thing. And I was just sitting on one holiday, thinking to myself, well, how could I reach more people? Because I know what I could do with them, could help them. And it's just like, why don't you just write a book? Which is to me, very shocking because one of my biggest limiting beliefs would have been I never thought myself creative or be able to create something new. So that thought actually scared me a bit, but I'm a coach. If I can set these goals, if I can figure this out, I mean, it can be done. And I already started the journey of becoming an author. I would say though, in the Caribbean, especially in Trinidad, it was very difficult to find information. It was very difficult to know exactly what to do. You know, I'm the type of person, I will do my research before I make any decision. And a lot of the research was really more the global perspective, more what you can do if you're publishing in, let's say, the UK or America. None of the context was specific to my small twin island.
That's very true.
So, you know, I made the plan the best I could, but when it was time to, let's say, roll out, there was just some things that you just couldn't really foresee.
The infrastructure wasn't quite there.
You know, when you talk about just the smallest things that you would never really expect, you know, in the literature, they talk about put your book up for pre-order, get as many people to buy it on Amazon, you know, shoot up the charts because your friends and family are buying it. But then when you talk about, you know, just getting people to buy it, you get so many stumbling blocks because who doesn't have an Amazon account? Who doesn't have a credit card to actually even buy something on Amazon? Who, if they want to buy the physical copy, they don't even have a skybox to get the book to the country in an effective manner. So now I'm met with these walls, and I really had the decision to make of, okay, the conventional way is not working. What is the alternative for me based on what's happening here? And that's when I really had to start getting creative. On top of which, of course, COVID-19 hard hit.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how were you affected by the whole pandemic, especially as an author and within the Caribbean setting as well, where, as you said, our typical ways to buy books in stores. It's only recently that we've really picked up the online.
Yeah, it was really devastating at the point in time. You know, it's one thing when you have your plan set out and it seems so perfect to you, and then everything just changes. You know, there are no bookstores for me to put my book in. I had found a local person to print the book, but I'm just like, well, what am I supposed to do? The country was frantic. They were saying they don't want anyone on the streets. They don't want anyone really to go to work as much. Everything was shift. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, Daniel, you've taken out a loan to help finance this book.
The pressure.
The pressure is on. You have to start making these loan payments. You have all of these books and stuff. And you have no idea how you're gonna get this book out there. And it was really me getting to the point where I'm just like, okay, I'm fully committed. So these books have to sell. So it was really about getting creative, you know, working out, getting delivery to persons directly. I don't know if the pandemic helped or hurt, because again, millennials not necessarily the reading generation, but I mean, a lot of people are home board, and I saw that as an advantage to now be more active on social media because that's where everybody was, and to really get the book in their hand with as little friction as possible. You know, they say, I want the book, bam, they're getting it today, they're getting it tomorrow, no issues. I even did free delivery of the book for the entire year of 2020 because I just had to get it into hands at all costs.
That's really, really good. I like the way that you pivot, and I like the way how you decided, you know what, this is going to happen regardless, you know?
Has to.
Yeah. And that's when you're really committed to the idea as well. I know in interviews, you've spoken quite a bit about your journey, but not just the journey in selling books, but in terms of just how you were completely rerouted, just how you had a set vision, or let's say your family had a set vision of what your life should look like. But you found that it didn't really align with your personal vision or the things that you felt. Can you tell us a little bit about that, those two competing mindsets?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the way we do schooling here, it more or less sets you up on track for certain careers at a particular age. You know, when I was, let's say, 15, 16, I was really any good at sciences. So the tracks would basically be a teacher, do medicine, engineering, those types of things. For me, being a doctor just seemed so interesting, so exciting. So that was always my track there. But you know, as I got closer and closer to the period where I need to send in the registration and do all these things, my mind was telling me something was wrong. You know, I'm looking at my friends. They have been in school for years. They're coming out. They're struggling to get jobs because they have too many doctors. So in my mind, I'm seeing, all right, is it that you really want to go to school for another 6-7 years to then have to struggle a little bit to get a job? Or should we do something else? But my heart was so set on it for so long that it's just this internal feud where it just led me into this point in my life where just nothing was happening. I wasn't making any decisions. I wasn't moving forward. I wasn't literally wasn't doing anything. And in hindsight, I really, back then, that was a really low point for me. And I always wish at the point in time, I just wish I wasn't there. But it was through that experience that I learned about personal development and just the natural struggles that everyone around me was having. And it opened the door to me to now become a coach, start coaching persons, next thing reading, next thing books and all these different things.
Okay. There was something that you really said in an interview that resonated with me. You said, we don't always, I think this was with Trinidad Newsday, you said that working hard does not guarantee results. That is more about working smart. And that's something that really hit home because I've had that experience and I've felt that as well. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean? Because I know in this context of the pandemic, a lot of persons feel quite upended. You know, you've been working in a career for 20 years and all of a sudden it's gone. That's all your hard work. So can you tell us a bit more about what you mean?
Yeah, I feel like the generation above me, talking about the boomers, they said a lot, get a job, you'll work in that job however long, get retirement, move on. You know, you just work hard. That worked for them. That unfortunately does not work for us millennials, right? We
Yeah.
can keep working hard, we can stay in a particular job. That doesn't guarantee anything. You know, life is very turbulent. The things that we hold on to as, let's say, security, we're realizing that they're not really security. A job isn't necessarily security, right? Because in a moment things can change.
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
can lose a job, which we've seen with the COVID, right?
Yeah.
COVID came and a lot of people were retrenched. For me, it's really about that mindset, right? It's what you do when you're now met with this obstacle, right? Because if you're grown up in the mentality of, oh, I just need to keep working hard and eventually something will work out, that isn't necessarily true. It's you really have to mix that side of working smart, being strategic, and then of course work hard, right? When I was met with that problem, I could have worked really hard. I could have said, all right, I'm gonna try to talk to these bookstore owners, get them to do deliveries, or message people like crazy. But if I didn't have a plan that made sense, that fit the situation, all of that work would have left me basically nowhere, right? So it's really about that combination of the smart and the hard. You can't just work hard. It doesn't get you the results that you need.
Yeah, what you were saying in terms of how we've been encouraged to think. I felt quite betrayed after I left school, because I felt like I've done all the work, I'm putting in the hard work. I was going for different promotions and whatnot. I got those promotions, I got these degrees, and every time I went a step up, or what I thought was a step up, what greeted me was not just the reward, it was more hard work.
More work. Yep.
More work. Yep. I kept going up. I was like, even more work and more stress. And I'm like, something isn't right here. This isn't what I've been told.
I think we do this thing where we just sugarcoat life for the kids, boy.
Yeah.
Because that, I definitely experienced that. I would look at people in their 30s and their 40s, and they would just tell me all the nice, flowery, amazing things, the freedom, the choices that they can make, and all these things. But they would always leave out the things that was really important. I had a conversation with a friend from my old job. He told me he was up for a managerial position, and the exact same thing he said. He didn't want to take it because he's like, I'm going to get paid maybe like 10%, 15% more, but the workload has increased by at least 25%, and it's not worth it, right? And these are the things that we weren't shown growing up. You know, I really wish that I had known about personal development when I was younger. I really wish they talked about like relationships. They talked about commitment. They talk about taxes. My God, where
taxes? Yes.
Where are the taxes? Oh my gosh.
That needs its own subject in schools, man.
Definitely. You know, I understand that the way the system is built right now, it's a pump out workers. But we're seeing the shift that the landscape is different now. It's not what our parents were used to. That worked for them. It doesn't work for us. We need more critical thinking skills. We need more independence to make proper decision making. You're looking at these millennials now. A lot of them have their main job and they are just pivoting to get side hustles. Why? Because they know that their income does not fit their needs. Right? So we're gonna have to now think about a lot of things that we do right now differently. I'm talking about retirement. It might look different for millennials. I'm talking about even savings, pension, all these things. They might need to look a bit different for us because we live different lives. My mom, for example, she probably had 3 jobs her whole life, right? And she stayed in them for so long, right? The typical millennial person my age, they're switching jobs at
2-3 years.
Yeah, right. So then what security can be created for us? We definitely need to do things differently, and it starts from developing these things now, but then also having these conversations with persons as they develop, because what we're seeing is not what is actually happening when we enter into the real world. It's not.
It doesn't translate into the disruptive environment. I mean, these are all good goals. Work hard is a good goal. Be committed, settle down, whatever the case might be. It's not that these are bad things, but they don't necessarily translate to a disruptive context where, let's say, the foundation, as you very much put it, the security to build those things on, those things aren't really there anymore.
No.
What would you say then to your 12-year-old self? Let's take it back a bit. What would you say to your 12-year-old self in terms of preparing for adulthood? What would be the 3 tips you would give to your 12-year-old self?
12-year-old self would not have the air for me at all. He would just not want to hear any of these things. I
Yeah.
think what what is really important that I wish I had actually started doing when I was younger was reading more. Um,
Hmm.
it just sounds so simple, but
Hmm.
just I became a voracious reader really late, in my own
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
and I think that has had one of the biggest impacts on my life. I spoke to a client yesterday. Well, she's not even a client yet, but
Hmm.
she's talking to me about all these things that she wants from her life,
Yeah.
and how she wants to sell more, and she wants this particular experience in life. And then I ask her, I say, okay, well, you want to sell more. When was your last time you read a sales book? She never read a sales book. I was like, okay, have
Mm.
you ever done a sales course? No, I've never done a sales course. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, you have a
Yeah.
mentor who's big in sales. No, I don't have. So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's like the inherent obvious choice to us that it hasn't become obvious. If
Yeah.
I was learning so much at a younger age, I would be an animal, right? I read this
Mm.
book, Outliers.
Yeah.
These people who just became crazy successful. They're talking about Bill Gates. They're talking about uh,
Yeah.
Peter Apple. When they were younger, they were just reading
Hmm.
and experimenting
Yeah.
for hours on end every
Yeah.
single day for years to
Yeah.
become the persons that they are. And that might be coming us an art that's missing because we we grew up in instant. So
Mm.
this instant gratification of wanting everything now, we
Hmm.
miss that. We
Yeah.
miss that piece that's needed. So that would be the
Yeah.
first I tell you, Daniel, please just read more.
Read
Just
more.
read more. Um,
Yeah.
two other things. Definitely to put more, I would say, a listening ear with my parents. I don't know what it is with kids and parents.
Mhm.
We just don't want to listen. But
Puberty.
it's probably puberty. But it's like
Yeah.
as you get older and you speak to your
Yeah.
parents, you realize that they are literally just a wealth of information.
Yeah.
They've gone through so many experiences that we don't even think about, and they can literally help you create that framework
Mm.
for what you
Yeah.
want to do in your life. We
Yeah.
just have to, move past the hormones to then get back to, okay,
Mm.
this is
Yeah.
what I want from my life, mom and dad. What
Yeah.
have your experiences in life shown you
Yeah.
that can
Yeah.
help me get to this point?
Yeah.
Right? I think that's something that would have put me ahead by leagues.
Yeah. That's a
Uh,
really important point. We have a guest that's going to be a few episodes down, and she's going to be talking all about multi-generational communication.
yeah.
And it really hits the mark in terms of what you just said there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the third thing I would say, start a business.
Mm.
Anything, just
Yeah.
experiment from early. Um, I don't know why. Well, my parents had me read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was really young, so I
Mhm.
learned about starting your own business and all these different things.
Mhm.
But in my mind, I just thought it was something that I need to do when I get
Mhm.
older.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You're seeing 12-year-olds now, 10-year-olds, even 15-year-olds
Mhm.
starting businesses, and
Yeah.
I think just by that experience, whether you fail or you succeed, will just be invaluable
Yeah.
moving forward in
Yeah.
life.
And
Yeah,
one thing you learn is that the failure is more valuable often than the
Ooh,
success. You know, you can learn
definitely.
so much from the failure itself.
And this is something I spoke about in my first book extensively.
Hmm.
We go to school and
Yeah.
we're just taught that we must be perfect. The
Hmm.
closer you can get to perfection, the better you are.
Hmm.
You do your exams, get that 100. You're doing your
Yeah.
assignments, get zero things wrong.
Yeah.
We must always be 100% perfectly kept, right?
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
we enter into the real world and we are met with something that we were not prepared for.
Completely opposite.
You are
Yeah.
thrown into an environment where
Yeah.
you are basically mistake prone. But of
Yeah.
course you are, because this is the first time you're experiencing this. It's all new to you, so you're gonna make mistakes. So now
Yeah.
when you talk about mental health, where people get
Hmm.
into this point where like, why am I always failing? Why am I not the top achiever that I was?
Yeah.
Right? It's because it's all new,
Yeah.
right? And again, let's go back to that same question. We need to change the way we do education with kids, because
Yeah.
what we are preparing them for is, again, it's not the reality.
Yeah, yeah. It's, as you said, it's really creating a massive mental health issue, because you have a lot of children coming out of school with a lot of anxiety just because of that
Mhm.
shock, that real world shock of what they were promised versus what is. And
Mhm.
unless we really start to prepare kids for what the world actually is, I think we're going to have a much larger mental health crisis.
Definitely. because
so,
I can't even speak for the generation before the millennials. I don't know how they're going to be because they basically were born with a tablet in their hand.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
same schooling system,
Yeah.
but the world is evolving faster. So when they are adults, they're going to look at this world and say, well, where do I fit in here? What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, very much true. I always talk about my niece because she's my little darling. She's 15 years old, and just the gap between me and her. I used to think I was still young, so I started talking to her, just that generation thinks so differently. And I feel like I sound like my parents sometimes in the way that I complain about the next generation.
Yeah, I'm like almost there, and I'm just like, oh, I'm catching myself saying this, like, oh, what kind of music are they listening to? What is
sound like my mother?
They're saying? Yeah, and I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm becoming that guy. But I guess it's the natural progression of things.
It is. But thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you. You shared so much with us.
No
just before you go, you have to tell us about your funniest work experience. You have to.
Funniest work experience.
Funniest work experience.
Oh, so embarrassing. Listen,
dig into the barrel. Go on.
I have experienced some of the most menial of menial tasks.
Go for it.
I remember my first job. I was a trainee. But they weren't really prepared for me. So all the work that they gave me to do, I finished it in literally, a couple of days. And I just went around the office and I said, hey guys, what do you have for me to do? And there's this one lady, it's literally the meme of an evil laugh. And she's like, I have something for you. Right? So I'm excited, naively.
Yeah.
She walks me up the stairs. We come to this room. When she opens the door, I just see this huge machine. I was like, what is this? And she's like, well, this is the shredder, right? And we need all of these documents shredded. Now, this room is filled with people. And I'm just there like, ooh, what have I done? So, the next week, I'm living in this room, just shredding. So much so that sometimes I forgot. As
she rubs her hands together evilly, watches and laughs.
Oh yeah. So I am just, put on my headphones. I'm listening to my music. I'm shredding paper every day for a week. Again, forgetting where I am, just getting into it. And one day, listening to soca, I'm dancing, shredding, dancing.
Shredding and dancing.
Again, forgetting where I'm at. I turn around and I see like half the office is just peeping through that door with their phones out, recording this poor intern who is dancing up a storm and shredding people.
Oh my word.
I continued working there for about 2 years, and they literally still have that video that they share. They even made GIFs, like little GIFs of it. And it's just like, oh.
I'm going to search that after this.
Daniel Francis GIF. You will not find it. You will not find it. I've done my due diligence.
Word. I wonder if that's the classic intern trick that they say, that you're just one of many victims.
I think I was the first person that said, do you all need anything done? Because usually when interns get the work done, they just sit quietly and pretend to look busy. But I was never really that person. I need to actually do something.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So thank you so much for sharing with us. And everybody, look out for the new Soca Carnival hit, Shredding and Dancing.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I really enjoyed this episode. Thank you for our audience. Thank you for our listeners. Thank you for showing up every single week. So take care for now. And this has been another episode of Remotely Speaking Up, this week with author and personal development coach, Daniel Francis. So take care. Bye.
Bye, everyone.